Sister Ania, Assalamualaikum. Yeah, there you go.
Trying to get off mute. Walaikum salam.
How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you for that prayer. I needed it.
Yes, ma'am. How's my big brother doing?
He's fine also. Praise be to Allah.
It is beautiful. I'm glad to hear it. Sister Deborah, Assalamualaikum.
Sir. Assalamualaikum family. Sister Shirley, you need to give me a call.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
I will by Allah's grace. I hear you. You short timing.
Yes, ma'am. I'm short time like a mug right now.
All right, you're moving down there to Florida. What call them hurricanes? So
Well,
be
see, plan B is when the hurricanes start coming in, my wife's sister lives in Montgomery. That's where my a lot of my people are from Alabama. So when we see the hurricanes coming, oh, we're gonna have our go bags in the car and we just gonna road trip up to Bama.
That's
okay.
my
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
ain't
sir.
messing with them
Well,
hurricanes. I ain't playing with that.
come on to Georgia too. Me and Sister Shirley and Sister Anya will be waiting on you.
and I,
My daughter is in, I think she's in College Park.
oh, okay.
Oh,
That's
okay.
close to us.
So I will be up in Atlanta. I'll be up in Atlanta area because I got to go visit
Okay.
my
Yes, sir.
grandparents.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
So
Montgomery is my hometown.
really,
Yes, it is. It's a
we,
great place to be from.
we might be related.
Might be.
I actually I traced my family. I went to ancestry.com.
Uh-huh.
And I'm telling you, I was able to pull up the census information. It was really cool.
Mhm.
I pulled up the census information, uh, and it showed my grandfather and my aunts and uncles, like his children, my aunts and uncles. And at the time, my father was 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I have a copy of the census information,
Uh-huh.
and then I was able to go back. Um, I was able to trace back my grandfather back to when he was a child, and I was able to go back to 1827.
Wow.
Nice.
And my family um, are from from my father's side are from Montgomery.
Wow.
You know that area where when you throw your hat in the air, it's time to get busy. You know what I'm saying? But I used to live in Gaston
Uh-huh.
for a little while,
Yes.
just south of
Okay.
Birmingham.
Yes. I,
Uh,
I've been there.
okay.
Hmm.
I love being down south. I don't love the heat, um, but I love how you hit a certain point, and whenever we travel, my wife always wants to stop at Waffle House. That's the big thing, Waffle House. But
That's
I
true.
hate
wherever you
Waffle
stop,
House.
when we start hearing people saying yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and yes, it's just a warm feeling. It's like you're not in New York anymore.
Right. People actually acknowledging and speaking to you.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, it's like you walk down the street and there's always folks sitting on the porch. You
Right.
better not walk by without, because then they look at you like you're crazy.
Exactly.
You know, here, if you talk to people, they look at you like you're crazy.
Right.
Total opposite.
Total opposite. Total opposite. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's see.
Just the FYI, brother Lukeman, you know at Waffle House they cook everything in the same grease. Just FYI.
Oh well, that ends my Waffle House days then.
We know about Waffle House, though we Sister Shirley,
Yeah,
Sister Anya, we speed by Waffle House. We don't
Oh,
even look in that direction.
oh well, that ends that.
they're on every other corner in the South.
Every other
Yeah.
corner.
But the one thing I enjoyed traveling down south is stopping at Buc-ee's.
Oh, Bucky's, oh God.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I've ever been there.
Oh, don't do it to yourself.
Oh, okay. Fair,
You'll
fair
get
warning.
hooked.
Uh,
You'll get hooked.
no, you'll get hooked. It's a whole lot of pleasure moments. I'll just put it that way. All right. Sister Angela, live and direct from the wheel. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, navigator. Assalamu
Oh,
alaikum, family. Happy
how are
Saturday.
you?
I'm lifting every
Happy
chair and
day.
swing, brother. Montgomery is in the house.
Yeah,
And
Montgomery's in the house, right?
let me just tell you, my Waffle House. If I have to eat at Waffle House, I get cheese eggs. They cook them in a different pan with butter, and I get the waffles because they spray the waffle maker. So that's the only
Oh,
thing that I would eat at the Waffle House.
So,
Just for
yeah. I don't need to be eating there anyway.
I'm just saying if you had to.
No,
On that
you
grill,
have to.
I would never get anything on anybody's grill that cooked pork.
Uh-huh.
that's great
That's
advice.
usually what I get. I usually get the waffles,
Hmm.
waffles and cheese eggs, but I don't need to be eating that anyway. I'm trying to get my girlish figure back.
We all.
Aren't we all trying to go back to
I know, I know. Uh,
16?
I feel like I'm throwing stuff out. I feel like I'm getting lighter though. I feel like I'm losing, because I'm getting rid of stuff that I've just held on to my whole life. It's like, you know what? No, it's time to let that go. Don't need that. Time to let it go. My wife actually just ordered a whole new set of shirts and stuff. So she said, just donate all that old stuff. Just let all that stuff go.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right.
So praise be to Allah. Uh,
Goes with the universal change that's going on right now. I
yes,
think
ma'am.
most of us, especially on these Zooms, we feel it in the air.
Yes,
One way or
ma'am.
the other, it's very peculiar. Something in our life is a bit strange or not of the norm, I think, right now. And we know it's all. If we don't understand the man in our midst, we will very soon. How
Yes, ma'am.
powerful and gracious Allah was to leave him with us for so long.
Mm-hmm. And we'll understand that there are some of us that have been doing due diligence and really seeing and striving to see him for who he is. And there's some, hopefully, that will see that once he departs. And unfortunately, there's going to be some that will just never see it.
True.
But
Mm.
Allah said every knee will bow,
Everybody's going to bow.
every tongue will confess. It's either the blessed way, which would be to take the instruction.
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely. Most definitely. So, Sister Ruby and Brother Saquam, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Is the brother with you?
He's actually inside getting a haircut.
Okay.
Excited for seeing today at Mas Mariam the
All
40
right.
year
Mm-hmm.
um vision like experience.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
today when we woke up this morning for prayer, I actually looked outside and I go outside my front yard and I looked out there and the moon was shining bright and there was lots of wheels out, like 40 wheels out this morning. I took a video of it. So praise be to Allah that these beautiful wheels are out this morning. Our brothers and sisters on there. So they were just so amazing, so beautiful. Just they're ready for today. They're ready for that to remembrance that of the vision like experience our Messiah had. And inshallah, we're getting lots of energy from them. And so many people are reporting seeing them at this area right here in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only an hour away from the Messiah's farm. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful thing that I got to record them this morning. So praise be to Allah.
All right.
Well, if there's a way that you can figure out how to get that on, if there's a way that you could get that so we could zoom in on your phone to see that video, I think we
Absolutely.
would all appreciate that.
I
Actually,
want. Can
you.
I the comments area thing or can
Let's
I
see.
look?
She goes,
Um,
it might go there, and you can take it from there,
well,
brother.
I tell you what you can do. If you could send it, if you could send it, like if you have someone's, see, how can we do this?
I have Sister Anaya's phone. I can text it to her right now if she knows how to do all that.
Um, there's a way to do this. There's a way to do this.
Okay.
I tell you what, if you could, uh,
Or email it.
Yeah, it would be better to email. You can
yeah,
open
yeah, if you can email it, then I can open it up on the platform here where everyone can see it.
So what is your email, sir?
Uh, Chess Theology, CHESS Theology at AOL.com. Old school AOL.
Yeah, you running.
At AOL.
Old school.
I used to say,
I'm
oh,
send that, sir, and then I'll log back in.
Okay, thank you.
I'm like,
I do have a Gmail account, but I'm just so used to using my AOL account that anyway. All right, so here is how this happens. You
Brother
know,
Lukman,
I'm always
assalamu alaikum.
walaikum
I'm
salam.
sorry. I just wanted to, Sister Ruby just reminded me, and I had spoke to Sister Angela earlier about this, but it was early this morning. It actually wasn't last night, but it was early this morning. I had a dream about the minister
Mm,
this morning, and I can't remember all of it. Like you said earlier, if you don't get up and write it down, it kind of fleets away. But
hmm
I had a dream about the minister, and a couple of people from the nation were there. I believe Brother Saad was there, and we were singing a gospel song, and it was about prayer. I can't remember the lyrics, but prayer was part of the lyrics, and the minister was standing at the door listening to us.
You know what that
And that's
reminds me
all
of?
I remember.
That reminds me of Revelations 14.
they sang a new song.
They were on Mount Zion with the Lamb, and they had his father's name in their forehead. And I always, to me, I look at that as the minister, because they're singing a new song, that we don't wear the name Farrakhan, but we have his father's name, which is Muhammad. That's the way I look at it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, singing a song took me right to Revelation 14.
I believe it's in Exodus too.
Okay.
Those were two verses Brother Jabril made sure that we knew.
hmm So,
Good build.
so
awesome. Can I share something real quick with that
of course.
sister? Just brought me to a vision dream I've had of the minister just recently. And I'm not going to go into all of it because it's pretty long. But the first part about it was the Messiah. He was inside of by a farm. He was inside of a room, and the room looked like a closet, but the closet was big. But the Messiah was so big that he had to crouch down, and he was playing his violin, and he looked so peaceful, so beautiful. And I kept saying to him, I have to go get my husband. I have to get my sister-in-law. We were actually in Chicago at this vision when I had it. And I said, I have to get them. They have to come see the Messiah. I didn't know he was here. And I'm looking at him, and he's just looking so beautiful. Well, by the time I got distracted because his sister wanted me to go pray for her, I came back, and then I seen him again. And he was playing with a Spanish band this time. They were getting ready to play. So they were practicing, rehearsing. And I asked the Messiah, I said, I go, sorry, sir, I was supposed to greet you for Assalamu alaikum. He said, well, alaikum salam. And I said, sir, what are you doing? He said, I'm getting ready to play with the Spanish band. I said, well, I'm Spanish, sir. I can try to help you. He goes, yes, sister, you know how to speak Spanish, but you don't know how to do the Spanish notes. And I said, oh, yes, you're right, sir. Because I didn't know, because I talk Spanish halfway. I don't know the whole correct way, but he said, you don't know how to do the notes for the music. I said, you're right, sir. So as we're on this, I got out of that dream. There's more to it, but we were leaving that dream. So I experienced this dream, and it took 3 days, and I literally went into this vision-like experience in real life time for 3 days. When my sister-in-law came out of her room that we were in, getting ready to leave, there was a Spanish sister cleaning the rooms, the hotel rooms. And she said, my sister-in-law goes, do you hear that music she's playing? I said, yes. She goes, oh, she was singing it loud, the housekeeper. And she goes, what is she saying? I said, well, I don't know the notes. I'm not sure what she's saying, like to pronounce it, what they're saying in the song. But if I listen closely, I can listen to pieces of it. And I just looked at her. I'm like, that was my vision. The minister said, I don't know the notes. So I was literally going into this vision
Oh,
in
wow.
real life time. It happened for 3 days. So it was very, beautiful. I shared some of this with Brother Whitehead and his beautiful queen, but I didn't go into depth with all of it. But it was a deep, deep vision of our Messiah. Some
Did
of
you
it.
did you take the time to actually write that down?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's your assignment, Sister Ruby. Here's your assignment. Your assignment is you wrote it down. You went and you wrote it down once, right?
Yeah, and I taped it on my voice on video.
Okay, here's your assignment. Go back to the beginning and go over it again, and you'll be able to pick up some additional data from that experience.
Yes, sir.
And then write down the new information that comes through. And when you get to the end of it, guess what you're going to do?
Yes, sir.
Go back to the beginning, go over it again.
Yes.
Because what you'll see is as you do that, more information will come back to memory. More little details will start to come back.
Mm. And I never had a dream like that where I walked into it in real life and things were happening around me that happened in my dream for 3
Wow.
days.
That's incredible.
That was deep.
That's
Praise be
incredible.
to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Ruby, for that one.
Yes. Yes, sir. Something like
I
that.
see our sister from the wheel has her hand up.
You set me up. Her experience made me, okay, I'll share, but probably a little later. She brought up to something that I kind of figured some years ago, but I never could put any mass behind it. I always wondered why in music there were only 8 notes. In actuality, it's really 6 because you repeat 2 of them. So how come just a few days ago I ran into the missing 3 notes? Because every set is complete, it has to go to 9. Just like there's 9 planets, 9 months in the pregnancy, 9 is completion. And I always wondered why the music notes. So maybe that can help you, sister. I think part of that finding, and I'll put it in the group chat. I think if I could find the actual video that they found these missing notes.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I
Yes.
definitely want to see that one.
Huh?
So I
You
definitely
want-
want to see that.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. But just to get to the gist of what I experienced, every time I dream of the minister, he's in white. This time, after, because I'm always trying to secure him, it's almost like he's left alone a lot. And I come and secure him. And this time we were under a scaffold. You know that scaffold in study guide, I believe, is 18. But we're ranked under the scaffold. He's not in under the scaffold. Him and the 18 are in front. And it's daytime. I look up, I see the baby planes coming to get him. And I also see some jet fighters from the United States Air Force. They were trying to intercept him from leaving. So that's the dream I had with the minister, the gist of it.
Oh, wow. I remember Mother Tanetta Muhammad saying that you don't have dreams of the Savior, the Most High Elijah Muhammad, or the minister. She said those aren't dreams; those are communications.
The scaffold was the most key thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
Those planes can't beat the baby planes, so the minister won't be interrupted. But how they use the scaffold in the study guide is the meaning that we are under construction. We are being made over. And
Mm-hmm.
only 3 ranks out there. It was 3 lines of believers under the scaffold while the minister was departing.
Hmm. One of the 3 ranks represents the 3 years, or
Okay.
I think the way I look at the study guides now, because and I'm gonna share this with us in this Zoom presentation. I'm looking at the study guides now more so than ever as being what will produce the new wineskin so that we can take in the new wine. Because you can't put new wine in the old wineskin, right? We've read that before from the Bible. Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And I think if we have an old mind, and I look at it like this, if we're not studying our lessons now, how would we be prepared for the new wisdom when he returns with it?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So this is actually where we'll segue into the presentation. The ideas that came to mind? Allah teaches man by the pen what man knows not. So to me, every cognition, um, every inspiration, every cognition, I look at that as a gift from God now. It's like what we see as a cognition to me doesn't mean that we're so wise. That cognition is like the God planting a seed in our mind and saying, okay, manifest that, bring that into fruition. Meaning, here's an idea, now go study that. Okay. And two key points came to mind just recently. One, and this is going to be, God willing, a Zoom meeting in the future, dealing with the 10%, 85%, and the 5%, but we're going to attack it from a different angle. I think we've talked about those three before, but I was looking at the 10% from the perspective of representing the reactive mind, the 85% representing the aberrated individual, and the 5% representing what we call the analytical mind. So we're going to marry those three concepts together. Now, my wife, she's a big IT person. She's been doing computer work for over 20 years now. So many times when I'm thinking about computer stuff, I go and ask her questions to see the relationship. And what came to my mind the other day was this, that what the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us in the language of computers is what you call the operating system. Okay, the operating system, when you have a phone or you have a computer, the operating system is what allows everything to even operate, to even function. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is like a computer demo kit.
Mm-hmm.
The Savior, through the Most High Elijah Muhammad, has given us an operating system. What the minister has given us and is giving us represents the system updates. You know how your phone has to update every so often?
Yes, sir.
It has to take on new programming because the programming and the systems are continually advancing and evolving, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what the minister gives us, if we go back and listen to the old lectures, we should never make the mistake of saying, "Oh yeah, I heard that lecture before." You heard that back then. You have to listen to it in a new unit of time, and then you'll hear something totally different that you didn't hear before. Every time we hear the minister's lectures, that is a system update.
Mhm.
The tech represents the antivirus software. And the reason why our operating system isn't working properly and our operating system and our computer, the reason why it won't take on the system updates or the new programming is because we have too many viruses and malware.
Wow.
So the tech as a tool, the tech, because when you have viruses and malware, some viruses will hide files away. Some viruses will corrupt files so they can't be used. Some files will take up memory, which will slow down your processing speed, correct?
Mhm.
For
Mm-hmm.
those that have like a background in computer science. And so what happens is the same parallels you see with computers is the same way the mind operates. So the things from our past, the pains from our past, the circuits we carry around, the verbal voices we hear based on what people have said to us, and the guilt and the fears that we carry around, these are like viruses that we carry around that are slowing down our processing speed, which is our thinking, correct? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the tech is a tool that allows us to remove the spam folders and the viruses and the malware and clean out our computer, like defragging our computer, removing these things that are slowing down our processor, so that now, because certain things you can't download because the viruses actually are taking up too much memory. So you'll get an error code. That error code might say, there's no more memory. So you can't download new stuff because too much memory is being taken up. Well, too much of our memory is being taken up with stuff that happened in the past, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Either things that were done to us, things that we witnessed, things that we've done to other people, or things that we do to ourselves. Our mind is constantly dwelling on the past pain and suffering we endured, and so we can't load any new programs.
Mm-hmm.
So the tech is necessary. It's a necessary tool to clean off the viruses from our computer, our mind, our thinking. And that's why the tech is so important. So that now, once we stop dwelling on the past, that mental energy now can be focused on the present and postulating future, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's why the tech is so important. Now, what we're doing today, um, there was a thought that had came to my mind with regards to the inverse operation. Like I said, sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm a firm believer. This is just my opinion. When Allah takes men's souls at night while they sleep, this is based on the Holy Qur'an, and then Allah, some He withholds that the decree of death is placed upon them, and then some return. Right? Have
Right.
you've read that in the Holy Quran?
Yes, sir.
I believe that when we return, I believe sometimes we come back with assignments, certain things we have to do. And these assignments are designed to specify, it is a unique and specific curriculum for the individual,
Mm-hmm.
meaning for our spiritual and our mental evolution. Allah will place specific things in us for us to study that will take us further into our growth and our development. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thought came to mind the other day. The concept of an inverse operation came to mind. Now, the reason why inverse operation is so important in mathematics is that when you solve an equation, the way you can prove that your work is correct is that you do what's called the inverse operation, and the inverse operation will bring you back to where you started from. And if you can return back to where you started from, that proves that your calculations and the steps are 100% correct. Everyone follow that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I call that dealing with mathematics, I call that the 8713 rule. And I'll tell you why I call it 8713 rule. Does anyone have the Holy Quran available?
I can do it online.
Okay. Matter of fact, let me pull it up so that we can actually see it on the screen for just a moment. So the 8713 rule, this is how I remember certain ayats in the Holy Quran. Let's see, where's my Quran at here? There we go. So I'm gonna pull this up real quick. And if you go to, for those that have your Holy Quran, if you go to Surah 87, okay, Surah 87, let me see here. Is it that part? No, that's not what I want. I want, oh no, I know what I want. I want this. There we go. Okay. This is an ayat or a collection of ayats I use when I solve equations. Let's see here. Uh, uh, Dubar. There we go. Okay, let me get back here. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and then we'll get into it. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me go here. So now, if you see the screen, You see where it says, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. It says, glorify the name of thy Lord, the Most High, who creates, then makes complete, and who measures, and then guides. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is a cycle of action. Now, in the in Dianetic technology, you have start, change, stop, right?
Yes, sir.
Everyone has heard of start, change, stop.
You may have.
Yes.
Okay, so in Dianetic technology, where they talk about start, change, stop, that's you have what's called a cycle of action with regards to a position, and you have a cycle of action with regards to a condition. So with regards to a position, you just have start. Like if I'm picking up my phone is on the desk.
Mhm.
As soon as I pick up my phone, that's change. I've changed the position of my phone. And then if I put my phone on the shelf, that's stop. So you have start, change, stop. Now, when you have a cycle of action with regards to a condition, that's when you have birth, growth, you have conservation, you have decay, and then you have death or stop. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With Surah 87, ayat 1 through 3, where it says Allah creates, then makes complete. That's your start and that's your stop. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes, sir.
Create and make complete. And then the word measure and guide is how you produce the change.
Mhm.
Okay. So the cycle of action that's in the tech, there's more locations in the Holy Quran, but what I'm saying is the cycle of action is in the Holy Quran as well. Now, the cycle of action that they use in Dianetic technology is actually taken from chapter 10 in what's called the Bhagavad Gita. And in the Bhagavad Gita, uh, Shiva is speaking, which is considered God. And it describes God as the creator, the preserver, and then the destroyer. That's where your start, change, and stop comes from. And then Shiva says it doesn't represent three different gods. It represents the one God at three different times. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Absolutely.
Meaning in Islam, you have attributes. It doesn't mean that there's 99 gods. It just means that based on the function of Allah at a certain point is what manifests that particular attribute. So we know that Allah is Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim. He's Rabbil Alameen. He's Maliki Yawmiddin, correct?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't mean that there's four different gods. It's just representing four different aspects of the one God. Same principle applies in the Kemetic tradition, in ancient, what they call ancient Egypt. I call it ancient Kemet because Kemet means black. Egypt is from the Greek. So when we look at the paintings or we look at the hieroglyphs, the holy writings, these aren't our people weren't polytheistic with all these different gods. This represents different aspects of the one God. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now going back to the inverse operation, you do the inverse, your steps you measure whenever you do a calculation. There's certain steps you take to get from point A to point B, and every step is governed by a rule. So if you understand the steps in doing mathematics and you understand why you do each step, you can master any level of mathematics from arithmetic up to calculus. Does that make sense, family?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know just by saying the word mathematics, it's causing some of us to be restimulated.
You already know.
But when you understand that there's only four operations in mathematics, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. There's no other operations in mathematics. You're either adding something or you're multiplying, and multiplying is just adding faster, or you're subtracting or dividing, And division is just fast subtraction. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
There's
sir.
only 4 operations. But what confuses individuals is how the rules change. That's what causes the problems in mathematics. There's a lot of rules. But once we understand that there's only 4 operations, and then you begin to understand the rules, every individual on this Zoom meeting has the ability to do everything from arithmetic up to calculus. You have that ability. I've seen it happen. Some of us say, I can never do algebra. With Allah's help, I could have everyone in this room doing algebra within 30 minutes. Algebra is not difficult. What's difficult is, and some of us might go back on our time track right now to that time in certain instances where we had difficulties with mathematics and we just said, the hell with it, I can't do it. How many has had that experience?
Absolutely.
Okay. Everyone here can do trigonometry. Just saying the word trigonometry will stimulate someone. Why? It's a big word and we don't understand what the word means. So we have these mathematical engrams, correct?
Yes, sir.
So inverse operation is, it allows us to go back and double check our mathematics. I'm going to give you 2 quick examples. But here's the reason why the inverse operation is significant. The way I was blessed to see this by Allah's grace is, up to this point, what we have done is we have found, we have gone into the Holy Qur'an and we have found key verses in the Holy Qur'an, and we did the word clearing, and we found words in Arabic that were tied to the terminology in Dianetics, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's what we've
Yeah.
been doing all these years, over 4.5 years now. But today, what we're going to do, and I think this will benefit us even more so, especially those that are still studying the tech or those that put the tech down. This, I think, will benefit us because this time we're going to do the inverse operation. We're going to find different points in the Dianetics book. We're going to identify the key terms in the Dianetics, and then we're going to clear that term and find the Arabic definition for that term. And this time we're going from the Dianetics into the Holy Qur'an. Does everyone follow that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
In the past, we went from the Holy Qur'an to Dianetics. Today, we're going to start in Dianetics and go into the Holy Qur'an. And I think that will be very beneficial for those that are actually in the study. Because now, based on whatever chapter we want to go through in Dianetics, we'll be able to read that chapter, and then we can connect it to concepts that are found in the Holy Quran and in the Bible. And then, God willing, as time goes on, we're going to show how that concept can be found in other religions, which will give us an understanding of other religious viewpoints. Does everyone follow that logic?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to go into the Dianetics book today and then go into the Holy Quran. Okay. And I will say that this is all based upon study guide number 7. I was going through study guide number 7 and came across, it's like going into the minister's words in a new unit of time and seeing his words from the perspective of harmonics and overtones in physics. You look at the minister's words, but the word is just the surface. And if you go behind the minister's words, you see layers of wisdom. And every individual will see the layers of wisdom based on their perspective. So it's like everyone gets a healing from the minister's words based on what the individual needs. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me go here. Let me see. Actually, let me pull this up first. Okay. So now let me share my screen. Go here, and I pray that I caught all of the. I pray that I caught all the spelling mistakes. If not, please forgive me. Now, so we're starting in Dianetics with a concept called the forgetter mechanism. Now, how many of us, let me go back here real quick. By a show of hands, how many of us have studied Dianetics?
I
Okay, Sister Angela, I know you have. Sister Deborah, Sister,
I am.
I know Sister Sharon is studying. I know Brother Larry started with self-analysis. iPhone. Who is iPhone? iPhone, could you, Sister Ania has studied Dianetics. Does anyone know who iPhone might be? That could either be Sister Denise, Sister Judy, Brother Roderick. Let's see. Sister Shirley, have you studied the tech?
I have years ago, and there have been too many years that have gone by since I started. Um, I do still read the manual from time to time just to clarify something that I may be studying.
Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So hopefully the goal of the Zoom platform is to get us back into the tech so that we gain a certain level of mastery so that we can audit individuals. Because that's really the work when you go back and look at Savior's Day 2011, God will send saviors. Um, we will be responsible. We will have the task of going and helping our friends, our family, ourselves, and other believers get through the trying times that are in store for us, that are already present, with things that are coming forward based on the minister's words. And this is something we covered in the Divine Destruction of America. The tech will allow us to save ourselves and our family uh, from the emotional, mental, and spiritual suffering that is going to be in front of us.
Yes.
Okay, let's see, who is this? Okay. So hopefully everyone will be inspired that either started the Dianetics book one and stopped. It'll inspire us to pick back up on that extension course and actually complete it, to actually learn how to administer the tech. Because the individuals that have the tech are considered the spiritual doctors. I think, does anyone remember the minister speaking about that?
speak.
I think he said spiritual physicians, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, so from this point forward, the goal is, Allah willing, we're going to actually go through the tech, Dianetics Book One, and we're going to connect what's in Dianetics Book One to the Holy Qur'an into our study guides. We're going to marry it in that direction. That way we can assist people finishing up Dianetics Book One, and we'll sprinkle in some science of survival, some self-analysis. Um, we want to be very well versed in this tech because this is what's going to help us get through those 3 tough years we got to endure, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And if we don't fully understand it, just look back at history. What happened when the Most High Elijah Muhammad departed?
Mhm.
The minister said a lot of the believers were found in insane asylums.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I believe the minister was always cautioning us not to make him into an idol. And I hope I'm wrong in this, but I think when the minister departs, I believe, especially with the way AI is right now, I believe when the minister departs, the enemy is going to do some real foul stuff with AI with regards to the minister, even to the point of doctoring up past lectures and making it appear as though the minister has said certain things, and we're going to take it hook, line, and sinker because it was a lecture that was done in Mas Mariam, not knowing that that lecture was doctored. And if we're not well versed in the tech or well versed in our teachings, we will be able to look back and say, no, the minister didn't say that. This is what he said. And
Mhm.
we'll be able to discern between the corrupted message and the actual message. And I believe this could be connected to um, when I think it's Revelation 12, that there was a great dragon that was waiting for the birth of the baby. And it talks about how the earth swallowed up the flood. And I think I remember the minister saying that that represents swallowing up the propaganda.
Yes, sir.
So we have to be
Mhm.
well versed in our teaching. Sister Denise, okay, praise be to Allah. We have to be well versed in our teachings, and we have to be the watchman on the wall with certain videos that will pop up on YouTube. We can't just post those videos without watching it because we might be posting up a message that has been grafted. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's going to cause some of us to go insane.
Hmm.
I wouldn't put it past this enemy to do that when the minister departs. So we have to be on top of our studies with regards to the tech, and we have to be on top of our studies with regards to our teachings. We have to be on top of our study with regards to our supreme wisdom lessons, self-improvement, message to the black man. We have to know all of this like the back of our hand. Go ahead, Sister Angela.
Yes, sir. To give mass to your point, I just seen a video on TikTok where they have the AI that can bring pictures to life. And someone had the audacity to take Master Fard Muhammad's picture, the side profile, and bring it to life so you see the full frontal face, smiling. It's just crazy as heck. What I would um, also point out, I think I told you last time, one of the last times we were on, I went back to Savior's Day 1975. And one peculiar part of Savior's Day 1975 stood out to me. It could be because of something Brother Jabril said to me. He said that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad knows his sheep. So up until now, I took it as um, my own confirmation of me being a believer. And also now I'm taking it as, do the sheep know the voice of their shepherd? Because when you watch Savior's Day 1975, there are clear discrepancies being said over the rostrum,
Mm-hmm.
but you see a whole crowd of people cheering, agreeing, and it was like I watched it at least twice, and I would say for us to watch it because not only with AI, but we have hypocrites and agents and disbelievers also. That goes to the minds that sometimes when the majority appears to be agreeing with something, it's a process of peer pressure, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't have the courage to stand on what they know because they seem to be like a thumb standing on the outside and the other fingers are in the group. So I see that also as being a good example, and just really watch the people on the stage, watch the people in the audience. It's a very good learning tool. Savior's Day 1975.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. That clip we watched of the minister, the last Zoom meeting, Divine Destruction of America. There was one point where the minister was speaking and he was almost quoting verbatim an ayat from the Holy Qur'an. We have to be so in tune with our study that when a minister speaks, we should be able to trace back what he has said to either the Holy Quran or to whatever the Most High Elijah Muhammad has said. We got to be able to trace it back. That will save us with regards to what the enemy will do because if he uses this AI stuff with regards to the minister's message, there are certain things that will be said in our mind. We'll think, well, no, that contradicts that lesson, or that contradicts what the Most High Elijah Muhammad said in Message to the Black Man. We'll be able to see the contradiction. That's how well versed we have to be. Does everyone follow that?
Yes, sir.
We have to be well versed in our teaching. All right. Okay. PowerPoint. Let's go. Okay, so specifically, we're going to start in Dianetics and we're going to build a bridge over to our teaching. We're going to deal with something specifically called the forgetter mechanism. So a brief overview. Okay, I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again. So up to this point, we have started at the verse of the Holy Qur'an. We've identified keywords and phrases. We've cleared those terms in Arabic. And then we take the derivations of those words found in the Arabic dictionary and we find what is synonymous in the technology. That's what we've been doing up to this point. So as a result, we have been able to marry the supreme wisdom with the supreme technology. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So now, what would be the result if we did the inverse operation and married the supreme technology with the supreme wisdom? We're going in reverse now. So the first objective we're going to discuss very briefly is what is an inverse operation?
Brother Lukman,
Yes, ma'am.
can you just go back to the other screen just for a brief moment?
Right there.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what is an inverse operation? This will only take a minute. We're going to touch on this very briefly. Then we're going to go into what is the forgetter mechanism. We're going to go into Dianetics Book 1 to discuss that concept. And then what is the relationship between the reactive mind and forgetfulness? There's a direct correlation between being forgetful and how the reactive mind is working. And it goes back to what we were talking about before. It's like a computer that has a lot of malware on it, and we've lost the files on the computer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then here's where the starting point is. If the devil is the equivalent to the reactive mind, is there a correlation between the devil and forgetfulness in the Holy Qur'an? Now, the mathematics that we use to actually build these concepts, for those that are students of mathematics, we use what's called an equivalence relation. So that's pretty much how I'm studying this as a way of proving that these concepts can be married together. But we start out with what's called a hypothesis or what's called a supposition. If we can show the relevance between the devil and the reactive mind, and then we can make a connection with the devil and forgetfulness with regard, or the reactive mind and forgetfulness in Dianetics, can we find a relationship between the devil and forgetfulness in the Holy Quran? Does everyone follow that logic, or did I just confuse anybody?
Would you repeat the statement?
Sure, no problem. So we're starting out with the devil. Can the devil be the equivalent to the reactive mind? Okay, that's where we start out. So now, if the devil is equivalent to the reactive mind, and the reactive mind causes forgetfulness, can we find in the Holy Quran where the devil causes forgetfulness? Does that make sense?
So basically, it's if A equals B,
Mm-hmm.
B equals C, then A equals C.
Right. So we're using the transitive law of mathematics. Okay, we're using the transitive law of mathematics. Or if you're looking at it, and this is for individuals, 'cause I'm trying to speak this on various levels. For students that study logic, this is what you would call a hypothetical syllogism. But for the mathematicians, It's the transitive property. It's like uh, Sister Anya, if you don't mind me asking, what room of the house are you in right now?
I guess you could say this is my office.
Okay, so if Sister Anya is in the office and the office is in the house, then Sister Anya has to be in the house. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes.
that's the transitive law of mathematics, but it's being applied to what we're talking about right now. Okay. So if the devil is equivalent to the reactive mind, and the reactive mind produces forgetfulness, and if all things are explained in the Holy Qur'an, can we find in the Holy Qur'an where the devil produces forgetfulness? And if we
Should
can
be.
do that, then we are marrying the technology of Dianetics Book One, or really any of the tech. It's just that when you go from Dianetics Book One forward, the concepts are the same, but L. Ron Hubbard changes the language because the language evolves. Then it has to be in the Holy Quran. And if we can do that, then we have married the supreme wisdom with the supreme technology. So, real briefly, what is an inverse operation? And this will be very, very quick. So, inverse operations. An inverse operation in mathematics is an operation that undoes, and this is the way it was actually written, or reverses the effect of another operation. So, for example, addition is the inverse operation of subtraction, and multiplication is the inverse of division. When you get into what's called exponentiation or exponents, like 3 squared and 7 or cubed, exponentiation is the inverse of square roots. And I'm going to give two brief examples, and maybe we'll go more in depth in this mathematically at another time. So understanding how to do the inverse operation allows the student to check their work for errors and mistakes. And I'm going to show you this is how it's done. So if I look at addition and subtraction, if I say 10 plus 5 equals 15, okay, which is obvious, but you always check your math. So to check the math, I do the inverse. So I start at the 15 and I go in the opposite direction. I say
Mm.
15 minus 10 equals 5, or 15 minus 5 equals 10. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So the inverse, I just do the exact opposite. But I start, so in addition, 10 plus 5 equals 15. 15 is called my sum. 15 is the sum. So when I do the inverse, I start with the sum and I work backwards. And you always come back to the starting point. For multiplication, we say 12 times 4 is 48, correct?
Yes.
Okay, the inverse is I start, and 48 would be my product. The inverse operation, I start with the product and I divide by either one or the two of the multipliers. So 48 divided by 12 equals 4, and 48 divided by 4 equals 12. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, that's just a basic explanation of what's called an inverse operation. Every work you do, there's an inverse. In calculus, when you have what's called differentiation, your inverse is called integration. Square roots, the inverse is exponents. Okay. So what we've been doing in the past is we start with the Holy Quran and we build a bridge over to Dianetics. So here's our starting point. This is a cycle of action. We identify key terms in Arabic. Okay. Once we identify the key term in Arabic, then we clear that term and we translate it into English. And then once we get the English equivalent, we find that in the tech dictionary or the books itself. And then that will bring us to the technology. And that shows how the Holy Quran and the tech they have what's called ARC. They have affinity, they have reality, and they have communication. They have agreement, in other words, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But today, we're going to start in the Dianetics book and we're going to identify key terms in the Dianetics. Then we're going to translate and we're going to find the equivalent in Arabic. And then we're going to see if we can find that term in Arabic in the Holy Qur'an. So we can find the term in Dianetics and find a corresponding ayat or verse in the scripture of the Holy Quran. Does everyone follow that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is the forgetter mechanism? So forgetfulness, basic definition is to lose the remembrance of, to be unable to think of, or to recall something. Okay. To treat with inattention or disregard. Like if someone says, man, forget you, right?
Right.
Forget you. It means to disregard intentionally or to overlook something. So sometimes people forget on purpose, right?
Yes.
You ask someone a question, oh, I can't remember. I plead the fifth. And when I say every time I hear I plead the fifth, I think of Dave Chappelle. But I forgot. Well, your forgetting was convenient.
Right.
You're forgetting intentionally. Okay. It means to give up hope for or expectation of. So we want to forget certain things because we have given up the fact that we want to accomplish certain things and we just say, oh man, I'll forget it, right?
Right.
How many times have we just, forget it? And that was just a way of us saying, I give up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. To fail to become mindful at the proper time. To lose one's dignity, temper, or self-control. Oh, give me 1 second. So that's like to lose the knowledge of oneself, right? And live a beast life.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So losing a knowledge is the same as being forgetful, is one of the first steps towards aberration. So there's a connection between being forgetful and being aberrated. So the word forget, now this is based on the tech. Forget is a noun. It means to not know the past. Okay, not know. Forgetting is the not ising. Now, not ising, not isness is one of the terminology, one of the terms that's used in the text of knowingness. It is the occlusion by any means of one's memory. So when we forget something based on the way it's explained in the text, it means that there's something that's blocking our memory. Make sense, family?
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
There's certain things that we can't remember, or there's certain blank spots in our memory at certain points of time in our history. And the reason why we can't remember certain spots is because there was something that was done or something that was said. There was a moment of unconsciousness. And as a result, that moment in time is inaccessible to us with our own analytical mind, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the concept of not know. To not know means to not remember or to forget. It's to decide that one does not know. Someone who's trying to overcome the painfulness of all that happened to him is trying to forget all about it and everything connected with it and push it out of his mind. This is an example of not knowing. So some of us have forgotten certain things. And then for some of us, there's certain things that we are not knowing. We're trying to ignore that it happened, correct?
Yes.
Because we don't want to deal with it. We can't change it, so we are avoiding it because of the pain that's involved in it. So we're trying to forget, but I mean, as soon as you're trying to forget something, aren't you remembering it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So there's kind of like a difference between forgetting and not knowing. So the forgetter mechanism, it's a type of denier that bars information from the analyzer with commands that tell the preclear to forget. For example, there might be a circuit in our mind, or there might be something that we actually say to other people, or something we hear being said to us. Put it out, put it out of my mind. If I remembered it, I would go mad. Or sometimes someone says something, we say, "Oh, I can't remember." Now, that can't remember could be something that was forgotten, or when people are in court, they say, I don't recall. I don't recall is someone who is intentionally not knowing. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I don't recall that. I don't recall what I recall. It means you want to act like you've forgotten it. And someone who says, "Well, I don't know." That could be someone who has forgotten it, or someone who's intentionally trying to forget it. Okay, but these are all called forgetters. It's the way the mind operates when it's trying to avoid information. It's we conveniently forget it, or we have actually, because it has caused so much pain and suffering, we have actually forgotten it. Does everyone follow those two concepts? Okay. Forgetfulness is representation of the work of the reactive mind. So the opposite of forgetfulness would be all knowing, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we know Allah, one of his attributes is he's the best knower or the all knowing. That means he has forgotten nothing. He has a remembrance of everything. The fact we know that the Savior went back and looked into the mind of the first God who created himself from triple darkness would imply, at least to me, on my kindergarten understanding, that the Savior was able to travel back the whole time track. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's my understanding of it. So in Dianetics Book 1, page 245, L. Ron Hubbard says that the auditor may inadvertently use restimulative language, which will key in an engram. He may, when he is especially new in Dianetics, use such a thing as a holder or a denier, telling the pre-clear to stay there when he is returned on the track, or telling him, worst of all things, to forget it. One of a class of phrases of the forgetter mechanism, which is most severe in its aberrative effect, which is denying the data entirely to the analyzer. So what he's saying here is the worst thing of all you could say is to forget it. That means to forget it as a circuit basically hides all the data that's in the event. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Any questions or thoughts up to this point? All right, we'll keep it
Could
moving.
you repeat that last sentence again, please?
Sure. It says one of a class of phrases of the forgetter mechanism, which is most severe in its aberrative effect, is denying the data entirely to the analyzer. So the word forget it, based on what he's saying here, is one of the worst. These are called engrammic commands, deniers, holders, misdirectors, and groupers. Um, those are called engrammic commands. This is the way the reactive mind keeps the auditor from when they get close to the engram. The reactive mind uses these tricks to try to persuade the auditor to avoid the area, correct?
Okay.
Okay. But what happens is forget it is a special type of denier. And to insert this type of needle into the brain, coming from our lessons, forget it will try to hide the entire event that is actually in the event. So like Sister Angela does a lot of auditing. I'm quite sure she has come in contact with a lot of engrammic commands of I can't remember, or deniers, or holders, or misdirectors, correct, Sister Angela?
Absolutely.
Okay. So he says a preclear reacts to those engrammic commands. He says A, they are in chronic restimulation, or B, to which he is nearest on the time track. Okay, so now these statements, these circuits might be in chronic restimulation, or it's a sign that the auditor is getting close to the event that could release the individual from this aberrative thought, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thus, if an engram says, I am afraid, he is. If it says, I'd rather die than face this, he would. If the command to which he is near says, I'm sleepy, he will be. If it says, forget it, he will. So, whatever the circuit is, it will be taken literally. But these phrases are actually coming from what was implanted at the time of unconsciousness or injury, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So commands that are in chronic restimulation give a false color to the personality. I can never be sure of anything, or I don't know, I can't hear anything, are all possibly in chronic restimulation. In other words, there's certain phrases that we use all the time. These could be phrases that are coming from being in chronic restimulation. Does everyone understand that?
Yes, sir.
Allah says in Holy Quran, you'll know them by the marks, by the tone of their speech, right?
Mm.
So if we listen to people speak and we can hear them over a prolonged period of times, we might be able to pick up a pattern of things that are said or the manner in which it's being said and be able to pick up on certain things that are actually coming out of engrams. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if the file clerk won't give them up, then keep working the case anyway around these. They will give up after a while. That's what you call an occluded case. And I'm always going to point at Sister Anza because I know she does a lot of auditing. Not saying that other people don't, but in all of this, Sister Anza, you've experienced this on multiple occasions, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then he says, it may be remarked at this point that the recovery of the patient will depend in large measure on the life units that are freed from his reactive bank. This is a discharge of sorrow and may be quite violent. The usual practice is to forget such things, and the sooner forgotten, the sooner healed. Unfortunately, this does not work. It would be a happy thing if it did. Anything forgotten is a festering sore when it has despair connected with it. So some of us might think, well, if I just get it out of my mind, it's not going to bother me. That's not how the mind works. Some of us might try to just forget stuff like it never happened. But by acting like it never happened will not erase the content of that engram, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That engram, have you ever had a cyst or a pimple or a boil that was just full of stuff and it was causing pain? Has anyone ever experienced that?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
And you
sir.
can you can ignore it all you want to, but sooner or later that thing is going to rupture, isn't it?
Yes.
Sooner or later, that boil, that cyst, that sore that's infected, all that, and I don't want to get too graphic. I mean, graphic stuff don't bother me, but I don't want to get too graphic. But all that stuff when it comes out, it's not a good sight, is it?
No, but it's leak.
Absolutely not a good sight.
It's not a good sight, but
No.
what I understand is that boil full of all that toxin, all that pus. That pus represents dead white blood cells that have been trying to kill off infection. That is a perfect demo kit for an engram. The same, the same factors or elements surrounding a boil, a cyst, or any type of an infected wound, you can use that as a demo kit to understand an engram. An aberrated person. Have you ever seen videos of people that were covered with boils? Anyone? Whether it be like a horror movie, you just see people that are covered with boils and cysts. Anyone?
Yes.
That that is a demo kit of how the reactive mind looks. Picture, picture. I can tell you, put it like this. Picture yourself covered from head to toe in boils or in infections, and you are looking at your reactive mind. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I got that. Okay, so at the very end, please remind me. Uh, I was just sent the video of the wheels. So, but remind me at the very end, I'll pull up the video so we can watch what Sister Ruby was able to record. Okay. Then he says the auditor will find that every time he locates that arch denier, quote unquote, forget it, he will get the engram it suppressed. When he can't locate the engram and yet has found a somatic, a forget it or don't think about it or can't remember it or don't remember it, or some other denier will be sitting there in the context of the engram. Forgetting is such unhealthy business that when a thing has been put out of our mind, it has been put straight into the reactive engram bank. And in there, it can absorb life units. Now, what does that mean? Um, let's look at cancer for a moment. Cancer either can be benign or malignant, correct? Everyone with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you study cancer, benign just simply means that you have the cancer, but it's not a problem. It's not going anywhere. It's at this point it's harmless. Malignant, and you look at the word malignant, the prefix is mal, M-A-L. It comes from to malign. And if you clear that term, it brings you to what is bad or, you know, then it's malignant. And then what happens is that cancer can be malignant, and then the cancer can do what's called metastasize. It can spread. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
So when we look at, let's go back here. Come on, clear my screen here. Clear the screen. Okay. So what happens is in the body, just as cancer cells will steal nutrients from the body and cause the person that has cancer to their life force will decrease, they'll be tired. It's because these cancer cells are feeding off of the energy in order to keep itself alive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is the same thing that happens on a mental level with the reactive mind in the engram bank. It takes up our attention units. It's like the same concept in a computer that takes up space on the computer. It causes the processor to slow down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Has anyone experienced you have too many pictures on your cell phone, so your phone starts to slow down?
Yes.
You have too many programs on your phone, so your phone slows down. So you got to get rid of certain things so that you can free up the memory, which would allow your phone to speed back up again. Have you experienced that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The same concept is with the tech, with the mind. When we have too many pictures in our mind, same thing happens. Okay. Um, so in therapy, it says when we encounter this sympathy engram at last, it is discovered to have been buried in two ways. Number one, it was aligned with purpose, or number two, it had a forgetter mechanism on it. So now, because of one, the self protection of the mind permitted it to give up the engram only when enough tension was taken off the case to permit the mind to get along without the engram. And number two, we have a device which is common in engrams. So whenever we try to run an engram, all right, excuse me. So whenever we try to run an engram, which has somatics enough even to make the pre-clear roll around on the couch, but which contains no word content, we suspect a forgetter mechanism. Okay. So when we're trying to audit someone and we see a lot of movement, a lot of squirming, then there's something there, but this is telling us that a forgetter mechanism is in place. Does that make sense? Yeah, I got to work with me here because I can't see anybody.
How is that helpful to the auditor to know that there is a forgetter mechanism at work?
Good question. Good question. I'm gonna pose something real quick and then see if and I'm gonna see if Sister Angela has encountered this. Basically, when you're in session, you know something is going on. And I think one of the words that L. Ron Hubbard used is called abreact. An abreaction is when your body, like when someone, they might be tapping their foot, or they might be wringing their hands, or they might be tapping their hands, or their knee is jumping up and down. You
Right.
see their bodies going through all these motions, but for some reason you can't make any progress in this session, but the body's telling you that there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the person, you can tell you're at the door of something, but the person can't remember it. The body is telling you that you're there. Have you experienced that, Sister Angela?
Absolutely.
Okay, the body is speaking to you now. The pre-clear can't speak, but the body will speak. Now, there's a verse in the Holy Quran that says, in that day, I think it says, their hands and their feet will speak to you. Have you ever seen that in the Holy Quran? Believers, has anyone seen that ayat?
Yes.
sir.
Okay, okay. So that same principle applies in auditing. That as you get more skilled in the tech, the body will speak to you, and then you learn the language of the body. The body will tell you certain things, and then you just translate it, and then you know which direction to go with the questions or with the processing that you're using. He says there are evidently people in this world who think that the panacea for all mental discomfort is to forget. Just put it out of my mind. If I remembered it, I would go mad. Junior, you never remember a thing I tell you. Nobody can remember anything. I can't remember, or just plain I don't know, as well as the master of the family of phrases, forget it. They all borrow information from the analyzer. So if you're auditing someone and you hear these phrases come up, 9 times out of 10, there's a forgetter mechanism in place. Does everyone follow that concept?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Stay in the second.
Quick summary. So forgetfulness is one of the most insidious mechanisms used by the reactive mind. So now, if the devil is equivalent to the reactive mind, and the devil is mentioned in the Holy Qur'an, then is it possible to find instances in the Holy Qur'an where the devil is responsible for forgetfulness? Again,
Yes.
does everyone follow that logic?
Yeah.
In other words, can the forgetter mechanism be found in the Holy Quran? So when Allah says in the Holy Quran, I've given you a book explaining all things, can we find in an allegorical way this same concept in Dianetics? Can we find it in the Holy Quran? Let's look at it. So the devil and forgetfulness. In the Holy Quran, it says, and when thou seest those who talk nonsense about our messages, withdraw from them until they enter into some other discourse. And if the devil cause thee to forget, then sit not after recollection with the unjust people. So here the devil caused the individual to forget, didn't he?
If the devil forced you to forget.
So now, everywhere you see the word devil, if the devil equals the reactive mind, then whenever we see devil, we can put in the word reactive mind. So in other words, we could say, and if the reactive mind caused thee to forget, then sit not after recollection with the unjust people. Does that make sense?
So,
Now, here's
Then
a,
what,
someone's about to say something?
then what does the last part of the sentence mean? Then sit not after recollection. What is the sit not? Think not?
No, we're actually about to go into that. So let's take this ayah and make it real. So let's say so one way we could look at this ayah is let's say you're sitting with a group of people and then they just start speaking nonsense. They start speaking about what Allah calls frivolous discourse. They start talking about certain things that we know we don't engage in those type of conversations, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. If you work a certain job, you're in a certain environment, people begin to talk about certain things. And for us, in our mind, we're thinking, well, I'm not getting involved in that conversation. That's now how I get down, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you look at this ayah, it says, when thou seest those who talk nonsense about our messages, withdraw from them until they enter into some other discourse. Meaning, and I've done this at times at work. I'm around a bunch of guys. They start talking about certain things. In my mind, I'm thinking, let me go up to my office because I'm not getting involved in this conversation.
Right.
Okay. Because how many times have we got caught up in certain conversations and then we said to ourselves, what the hell am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
We got caught up in the same nonsense and then we had to catch ourselves and like, I know I shouldn't even be involved in this conversation. Has that ever happened to anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So could we say the devil caused us to forget?
Absolutely.
And then when we came to our senses, say, man, I'm not supposed to be talking about this. Then sit not after recollection with the unjust. So sometimes we fall victim, we forget. But when we finally come to our senses or come into present time, then we just get up and we leave the conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
So sometimes we get caught up in conversations because we did what? We went back on the time track.
Mm.
Sometimes we get caught up talking with friends and family, and we start talking about, what we used to do. The next thing you know, we're talking about things that now we're back on the time track. Now we're back at that event in the past, right? Does everyone follow that?
Yes, sir.
So sometimes we go back and we glorify, we don't do it intentionally, but the devil causes us to forget. We go back and we talk about the things we used to do, but we talk about them things with enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And then we have to come back to our senses and say, man, I shouldn't even be involved in this conversation. Remember when the minister said, when he did Organa, and he had one brother was acting like a homosexual and one sister was acting like a prostitute. And
Yes.
the Most High Elijah Muhammad said to him, "Don't do that because to take on those roles at acting, you have to almost go back to what you used to do."
Hmm.
Does
Right.
that make sense, everyone?
That's what he said.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this ayah is kind of like that same thing. When we're in an environment and we see that there's information or something going on in that environment that goes against our principles and our morals as we're striving to be Muslims and believers, then we dismiss ourselves from that environment until they enter into another type of conversation. If they start talking about something else we can engage in, then we can come back in. But if you're going to talk about frivolous discourse, then I have to dismiss myself or excuse myself from that conversation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in other words, could sitting with individuals who talk nonsense, could that be restimulative?
Absolutely.
That
It
could
Yes,
is.
that could
Yeah.
restimulate us,
sir.
you know. Next thing you know, we're talking about certain things and we are not in present time anymore. And if we stay there long enough, we will find ourselves uh, accumulating this aberration in a fine mist that the naked eye can hardly detect. And
Mm.
next thing you know, what we were talking about, what we used to do, that we haven't done in a long period of time, now we're wrestling with that devil all over again. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if we're restimulated, could we lose the knowledge of self and become engaged in the same nonsense? Now we sit long enough with people who are talking nonsense. Now we're fully engaged in the conversation. And then there's some people might say, I thought you were a Muslim.
Mm.
Because they might say, well, I understand that, you know, Muslims don't talk like that. And you got people that ain't in the mosque, ain't in the teaching, but now they know more of the teaching than we do, and now they catch us out there, and then we feel stupid.
Yes, sir.
All right, Sister Sharon, go ahead.
Um, just a question. Is it because the topic is it because the gravitational pull of what we used to be into is that powerful that even though you left it, it could still pull you back? Or would a person, because I'm still struggling with this business about a clear and a person that's not clear,
Hmm.
would a person who was clear be less susceptible to being pulled back, or not necessarily? Because you could be in present time, but it doesn't mean you forgot anything about yesterday.
That's a good question. So just because we left certain things does not imply that those things left us. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's certain things we used to do, but the things that we used to do, that's not the problem. The problem is the reason why we were doing it.
Okay,
So what we used to do was a tool that we used to get us through the pain that is at the root of what we were doing. So some of us used to drink, do cocaine, smoke weed, whatever it is that we used to do. But at the root of that was we did those things to deal with the pain, the emotional pain and suffering we were going through. We used these things to deaden the pain to allow us to forget that pain for a certain amount of time, correct?
right, right,
Okay. So just because we no longer do those things, now the clear represents an individual who has had the opportunity to go to all those events in the past and remove the source of the pain. In other words, if we use opiates, if we did alcohol, if we use alcohol, if we use drugs, if the things that we used to help us get through the pain we were dealing with, when you go through the auditing, you get to the root of why we use those things to begin with.
right,
And the root of it is the things that took place in our childhood.
right.
So if you remove the things from the childhood, it's like you kill the snake by cutting off its head. You're going to the root of the problem.
Yes,
So if you go to the root of why someone uses narcotics, then they don't have to use the narcotics anymore.
understood, understood.
You might have an individual who goes through narcotics because he went through a real bad divorce and he went through a real hard situation with, dealing with his divorce, going through pain. So then the narcotics was how he used to deal with the pain. But now if you can discharge the pain of the divorce, then there's nothing there that would cause that individual to have to use narcotics anymore.
Except memory,
But the thing
except
with the memory is,
pleasurable, pleasurable memory.
well, it's not well, it won't necessarily be a pleasurable memory, but when you go through it from the text standpoint, that memory is refiled in standard memory, but the emotion is no longer there. So you'll have the memory of the divorce. You'll have the memory of everything that took place, but the emotion is not there anymore. And it's the emotion that is feeding the addiction or the compulsions or the habituations. It's the pain that's at the root of what we suffer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And for some of us, we might say, well, I'm not an addict. I don't use drugs. I don't drink. I don't use narcotics. Well, some of us do shopping. Some of us do use food. Some of us even use working out as a drug because we're using these avenues to forget the pain that we're in. Does that make sense?
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Okay. In the Holy Qur'an, Surah 12, Ayat 42, it says, And he said to him whom he knew would be delivered of the two, remember me with thy Lord. But the devil caused him to forget mentioning it to his Lord, so he remained in prison a few years. This was dealing with Joseph when he was imprisoned. The devil caused one of the individuals to forget. It's just another example of the relationship between devil and forgetting and how it relates to us with regards to our reactive mind and being forgetful. Surah 18, ayat number 63, he said, sawest thou when we took refuge on the rock? I forgot the fish, and none but the devil made me forget to speak of it, and it took its way into the river. What a wonder. Now the question is, did he forget to speak about the fish accidentally, or did he purposely didn't want to mention the fact that the fish got away?
Mm.
So did he forget on purpose, or did he forget on accident? It's like when someone asks us a certain thing and we don't want to feel like we got caught out there and we say, oh man, I just forgot to do it. Does that make sense?
So,
You know,
yes, sir.
those that have children might hear this a lot. Didn't I tell you to do it, wash the dishes? Oh, I forgot. Okay. Did you forget because you did forget, or did you forget intentionally?
Intentional.
Did you forget to clean your room intentionally? I come home and you're playing video games. Didn't I tell you to clean your room? Oh, I forgot. Okay. What caused you to forget? Or did you just intentionally forget so you wouldn't have to do it?
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. You still forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Surah 22, ayat number 2. O people, keep your duty to your Lord. Surely the shock of the hour is a grievous thing. The day you see it, every woman giving suck will forget her suckling. There it is. Forget her suckling, and every pregnant one will lay down her burden. And thou will see men as drunken, yet they will not be drunken, but the chastisement of Allah will be severe. Now, interesting thing about this ayah is when you clear these terms, uh, it lines up with different concepts from the technology. So you have here, you have the woman that's given suck forgetting. You have one that's pregnant that lays down her burden, and then see men as drunken, yet they will not be drunken. Those line up with different aspects of aberration. If you look at it from the perspective of just looking at the Arabic words and clearing the words. Make sense, everyone?
Yes, sir. Sir.
And this one we're gonna parse this one, and this is where we're gonna end it. Surah 58, ayat number 19 says, the devil has gained the mastery over them. So he has made them forget the remembrance of Allah. They are the devil's party. Now, surely the devil's party are the losers. In this ayat, when we clear these terms, it brings us face to face with many other concepts that's found in Dianetics. So we're going to look at these keywords right here. The concept of mastery over them. Forget is what we were just talking about, the forgetter mechanism. The concept of remembrance or remembering. And we see that how the devil affects the memory. Then we look at the result of that. So it's like a cycle of action. When the devil gains a mastery over us, causes us to forget, affects our memory, that is what causes us to be a part of the devil's party and then to become losers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in other words, so we look at the word mastery. In Arabic, it means to overcome, to overwhelm, or overpower. It means to seize, to take possession of, to usurp, or take the place of. Now, if the devil can be compared to the reactive mind, does the reactive mind satisfy any of these definitions? Does the reactive mind overcome? Does it take the place of? Does it overpower? Does it seize? It does, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In Dianetics Book 1, page 73, it says, during the periods when the analytical mind is cut out of circuit in full or in part, the reactive mind cuts in full or part. So here the reactive mind, if we look at it as devil, takes the place of, doesn't it?
Yes.
The reactive mind is actually taking the place of the analytical mind. So the reactive mind will usurp the authority of the analytical mind. The reactive mind now takes possession of the pre-clear. Make sense?
Yes.
So the devil gaining mastery could be equivalent to the reactive mind taking the place or usurping the analytical mind. Then we look at the word remember, the word thicker, which comes from the root word takara, which means to remember, to recall, to recollect, or to recount. Well, isn't that what we're doing in auditing?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. When we go into reverie, reverie is similar to remembering, except in remembering, you're just remembering what took place. But in reverie, we're remembering, but we're remembering from the perspective of going back to that point of time and pulling up all of the perceptics that took place in that event, correct?
Yes, sir.
Go back to the beginning and recount it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The word thakara also means attention. But in the tech, we have what's called attention units, right?
Sir.
So we're trying to go back and to recount or gather up all of those attention units. You see the similarities between the two?
Yes, sir.
We're really going back and trying to find all the breadcrumbs, in other words. We're trying to go back and find all of those attention units. Like attention units are like mental money. We're trying to go and find all those it's almost like going through a treasure map and you're trying to find all the treasure. The treasure is the attention units. The more attention units we can define, the more we bring that person back to present time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It means, again, thakara. It means to revive each other's memory of. Well, that's what auditing is all about, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So the devil, the reactive mind, gaining mastery, overcoming of the individual made them forget. There's the forgetter mechanism, the remembrance, which is the ability to recount the past of Allah. And really, aberration is our inability to remember who we are as Allah. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think it's lesson number 2, question number 1. What who made Holy Qur'an a Bible? How long ago? Will you tell us why Islam renews the history every 25,000 years? And it says that the Holy Qur'an Bible is made by the original people, who is Allah, the supreme being, black man of Asia, correct? So we are Allah, but we know that there's one that's over the whole, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So really, when we're aberrated, we're really being kept from a memory of who we are. Who are we? The original man, Asiatic black man, maker, owner, cream of the planet, God of the universe, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is it? What is meant by the devil's party?
So,
So when you look at what's called the occluded case, the occluded case is one that doesn't have the ability to travel on the time track. There's blocks there. You can't travel. You can't move anywhere. You ask the pre-clear question and they can't see, they don't know. So now you got all these mechanisms that are in place. All these, it's almost like a book with 7 seals. Does that make sense?
yes, sir.
Okay, so an auditor is doing the same thing on one level, on a mental level, that was seen of the lamb in Revelation 5. You got to open the book and loose the seals. When we start a session, isn't that called opening a session?
Yes, sir.
And so now dealing with the individual, you're trying to find these seals, correct? 7 seals, 7 devils.
Mm.
So these could be the devil's party, meaning there are so many devils, circuits or overts or withholds, etc., that the engram is heavy. So the devil's party could be translated to a person who is in contact with basically all the valences or the devils of the reactive mind. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the devil's party. So a party, a group, a person or a group taking one side of a question, dispute, or contest. So in other words, the devil's party is the person that is in agreement with the circuits, the valences on their time track. They're in harmony with the negative aspects of what's in the reactive mind. That's what aberration is. When we're dramatizing, aren't we taking on the valence of the superior individual that's in that engram?
Absolutely.
Okay. In our lessons is that socialist means to advocate a society of men or groups of men for one common cause. Well, when you look at this lesson gives us the tools to understand what an engram really is. Doesn't it say why does the devil keep our people apart from his social equality? That's what the lesson says, right?
Yeah.
Now, if the devil is the reactive mind, doesn't the reactive mind keep us apart from his social equality, which means that the reactive mind tries to keep us away from the engram?
Yes, sir.
Why would the reactive mind do that? Because he's 100% he's filthy and does not want us to know all of his affairs. Well, isn't that what is in the engram?
Absolutely.
So can you see how that lesson can translate to understanding how engram works and how the reactive mind actually is trying to keep us apart from his social equality? What is the social equality of the reactive mind? All the valences that are in the engram represents a society of men or groups of men for one common cause, meaning those valences that exist in the reactive mind are there for the purpose of keeping us re-stimulated. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And then equality means to be equal in everything, right?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that A equals A equals A?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this making sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's the application of our lessons, which we're told is the fulfillment of all the prophecies in the scriptures. So we're using the principles from our lessons to go a little bit deeper into the text. Go ahead, Sister Sharon.
Okay, so don't laugh at this question, right? But does why am I getting the feeling that that this that we're studying is the is a grown-up version of the lessons? Like this was really the greater truth in the lessons than when we simply believed that the white man was the devil and he didn't want you a part of being a part of his social equality. Like, is this the is this actually the greater truth of that lesson?
Well, what you just said, there's no reason to laugh at it because it makes total sense. And it's very good that you see that. What we have to understand is our lessons are living. Our lessons will constantly evolve. And the more we go into the lessons, the deeper we go into the universe, the deeper we go into the wisdom. Most times, Elijah Muhammad said, a person whose religion is not coming from the root knowledge of the universe. I'm paraphrasing it. Then what they, in other words, the root of what we have has to come from the source. And in the past, we looked at the white man as the devil. The devil is on the best part, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that was fine. That was good for that point in time. But time evolves and the message has to evolve. And now, the minister said we got to deal with the devil that's in self. And the devil that's in self is an unseen force and power that exists within us. And now with the tech, we can look at the devil in self from a scientific standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look now, this part, no one can confirm this, can't prove it. This is just a hypothesis. When the lessons were taken from were taken in early 1940s, It is believed that L. Ron Hubbard was a part of military intelligence or naval intelligence and possibly had access to the lessons. So it is my belief that based on the type of mind that he had and based on the type of work he was doing with regards to mathematics and nuclear physics, that he was able to extract principles from the lessons and produce the tech as we know it today. In other words, someone who studies the heart can go into the lessons, and if they understand the lessons and they extract the principles, they can
Right.
see different aspects of the study of cardiology in the Supreme Wisdom lessons. If,
Absolutely.
if someone else studies neurology, the
Right.
study of the brain, and you study the lessons. In other words, contained in the lessons represents a mirror and will give to the individual what it is that they seek. Does that make sense?
That's why it's the root. That's why it's root knowledge because that's the essence of it, and then you can apply it to whatever field of study or whatever situation.
Exactly. The Savior and the Most High Elijah Muhammad gave us a book of formulae. In Lost Found Muslim lesson number one, lesson number two, English C lesson number one in the problem book, these are equations. And when we can go into the equations, when Allah allows us entry, because in order for us to understand it, it's Allah who's doing the teaching, correct?
Yeah.
Because Allah teaches man by the pen what man knew not. I want to try to use an example. Um, an example would be, can anyone provide a background of either what they studied in college or what they currently do as far as employment, which involves a certain level of information, a certain type of knowledge? Could anyone just share that? And I'll try to use this as an example.
Besides psychology,
Yeah,
cosmet
besides psychology, that would take us right back
cosmetology,
into Dianetics. So something other than psychology.
cosmetology.
Okay, cosmetology. Great. Perfect. Now, obviously, I know nothing about cosmetology.
Okay.
Okay, but based on the lessons, I'm gonna try to see if we can build a bridge between our lessons and cosmetology. Okay, now lesson number one: why isn't the devil selling the best part of the planet Earth? Now, if we apply this concept to cosmetology, the best part, let's say the Earth represents the body. So here we're talking specifically about the skin as being the best part, correct?
Absolutely.
So wouldn't the devil being selling the best part be some type of blemish or infection?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so why isn't the devil selling the best part of the planet Earth? You can take that same principle and apply it to the study of cosmetology.
Definitely.
The devil represents something that has settled on the best part of the planet Earth. Okay, because the earth belongs to the original black man, and knowing that the devil was wicked, blemishes in certain skin, uh, like eczema, certain skin diseases, that's where the devil has settled on the best part. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And there's never no peace between them. So you have to take that disease and you have to put it out in the worst part of the earth because you're trying to keep the best part preserved for yourself, the skin. So when you're putting it out, that means you have to find a way to get rid of that infection, right?
Yes, sir.
So you see how you can take something like cosmetology. And so if lesson number one will work, then lesson number two, lesson number three. So like Columbus, this one might hit home a little bit, Sister Angela, but take someone like Columbus. Question number three. We know Columbus tried to go west to go east, right?
Mhm.
Have you ever experienced individuals in the level of cosmetology where they've tried to do something either through the face or through the skin? They've tried to find a shortcut to get a certain thing done and wound up messing up their face and messing up their skin.
Absolutely.
So you see how we can take the lessons and
Hmm.
apply it to cosmetology.
Right.
So anything that we study based on what our background is, physics, chemistry, biology, cosmetology, if we understand the principles that are embedded in our lessons, then those lessons help us to have a deeper understanding of whatever it is that we study. And then what happens is we have a greater understanding of individuals that don't have the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
This is the pathway to get us back into the circle of gods. This is the kindergarten of the Savior's education, right?
Oh,
Now, if we can study Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1 and understand the 1 to 14, what type of mind would we evolve to if we begin to study and memorize the 1 to 40? And how many locks will get unlocked in our own mind because we're constantly going back to the beginning, go over it again and picking up additional data, but we're applying that concept from the text onto our own lessons. And we'll see that by constantly studying I mean, look at the fact that Mother Tanya Muhammad would read the Holy Quran in the lessons once per week. And look at where her mind was.
absolutely.
So the same thing that we see in Brother Jabril, Mother Tanetta, Sister Ava, the minister, all the great students, the same thing is applicable to us, except it's going to wake up in us. We don't want to just repeat what Mother Tanetta Muhammad said and Sister Ava. We want to find out what has Allah embedded in me. What is my message? What is the gift that Allah has given me to bring to the world? Each one of us has our own unique, as Sister Ava said, we have our own unique set of attributes. So each one of us is a light like no other on the planet. But we got to find our light and our purpose. We don't need to just regurgitate and repeat what Sister Ava said, Mother Tanetta Muhammad said. It's great to study what they have said and build on what they have taught and what they are teaching because their mind is still present. However, we need to find out what has Allah placed in Sister Deborah? What has Allah placed in Brother Larry? What has Allah placed in Brother Craig? We need to find out what is the book that was given to me. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So that was a great question, Sister Sharon. That was a great question. Go ahead, Sister Angela.
So, and I would probably add, say for all of us to take what Brother Lukman just did with cosmetology, take it with something you know, and
Mm-hmm.
because just now it took it to another level. The thing always got me is the why isn't the devil settled? And when you use skin, which is the largest organ of the body,
It
well,
sure
most
is.
don't know, it breathes, it absorbs, and the question is settled. It's consciousness that the students had all in common, Brother Lukman.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Tanetta, Brother Jabril, Sister Ava, the students were constantly preserving the best part. I link this to cosmetology because so many times when we do see an issue with the skin or the scalp, the person has been dealing with it and the devil has settled there. So it's no longer the best part. It has to be brought back to its original state of being. Now I'm looking at the lessons like that. Why is it important to have high level conversations? Why we shouldn't be watching TV excessively or movies? Why we should be studying more and having and sharpening and I guess registering one, two, qualifying ourselves for positions of weightiness.
Mm-hmm.
So just by you making that connection to cosmetology, it took flight.
Yes, ma'am. So then, so then, so here's your assignment, Sister Angela.
Yes, sir.
Take problem number 13
Oh, that's my favorite one.
and then look at it like an equation.
Okay.
After learning cosmetology, which is Islam, Islam is cosmetology, it stands true. You can always prove it in no limited time because cosmetology involves mathematics, doesn't it?
It does.
Then you could learn to speak your cosmetological theology in the proper
Oh, I love that cosmetological. I like that.
cosmetological theology in the proper term.
Yes, sir.
You could take problem number 13 and insert through what's called mathematics, the law of substitution. Take any mathematics or science, and when you plug it in there, Biology becomes a biological theology, meaning what? It's right in harmony with the minister's words. He said, everything you study, place Allah at the center of it, and then whatever subject you study it as if it's an outgrowth of yourself.
It's
So a
because
cosmetological theology,
mhm.
if you clear the word cosmetology, like what would be if you had a definition for cosmetology, what would it be?
It's basically the complete um, esoteric care of hair, skin, and nails.
Okay. But now you turn that into a cosmetological theology. And see, what we need to do is in our study, we just have to change the way we view things. And there's a saying, I can't remember who the scientist was, says when you change the way you look at things, the things at which you look will change.
That's the little boy with the spoon on the matrix. But I got you. And I think that thing that we learn or we can take from supreme wisdom is identifying with it. Like
Hmm.
I just identified with problem number 13.
Hmm.
Do we, especially when it comes to hair, because there is a myth that Black women cannot grow very long hair.
Hmm.
And being in the industry I've done hair for over 20 years, and I've seen one fatal flaw of us, especially in inner cities. We're more concerned about the superficial look of a hairstyle instead of the health care of the hair. If we put that same energy in caring for the hair and what the scalp need and what we need to eat, our hair would probably be to our ankles right now.
Hmm. Yes, ma'am. So we're dealing with the outward superficial and not realizing that you get more benefit if you deal with the internal. The internal is what produces the external. So, yes, ma'am. Sister Sharon.
So what I'm seeing right now is that not only did Master Farad Muhammad teach in formula, but the formulas are also pictorial. They're also
Yes.
pictures. And Jesus taught in pictures, and the idea that we understand that's when we can see the visual and the other parts of it, make it easier to establish other relationships and see the commonality between like things or like situations or scenarios. So it's pictorial. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. I know exactly what.
Painting a picture for It's painting a picture for us. It makes the understanding of it solidify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So in the tech, that's called the reason why we have sometimes we don't understand something is because we have what's called lack of mass. We're talking about a concept, but we don't have the image in our mind, right?
Right.
Okay, but now let's look at what it says in Closing the Gap. If you go to page 19, Closing the Gap, here's what it says. It says the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan continues his answer to my question in an interview on January 10th, 1996 in Phoenix, Arizona. Minister Farrakhan speaking. He says, now let's look at the quality of the persons with whom the master first dealt. What was their condition? They were totally in the dark. They were a very ignorant people. Master Farah Muhammad, whom praise is due forever, taught them in a language that was the way you teach babies. You teach babies using words that conjure pictures. The picture is not the truth, but the truth is contained in the picture.
Mhm.
As long as the picture remains in the brain, as you mature in understanding, then you can reach into the picture and extract the principle of truth that lies therein. What
Praise is due to Allah. That's it.
so what
That
you
was
said is straight from the minister's own words. So when you can see the picture and what happens in the tech, L. Ron Hubbard does a lot of this. He calls them mock-ups. A mock-up is something you begin to use your brain like you know how you might write on a dry erase board. You know how they do in school, you write on the board, right?
yes.
Our mind the more we train our mind, we can do the same thing in our own mind, where we don't rely on the board. Our brain, our mind becomes the board. And I'll give you an example of this. One of the things that when a person is really serious about playing chess, one of the things you can do to practice this, um, uh, one thing that's used is being able to picture the chessboard in your mind, and every square has a name. It's a grid system. And every square, like you might have the lower left-hand square. I know that's a dark square. That's A1. I know on the right side that's a light square. That's called H1. You begin to use your mind and you can see the board in your mind. And then one of the ways that we train in playing chess is you can have certain people, they can sit with one another. They don't have a chessboard, but you can play a game of chess in your mind. I could tell someone to say, okay, pawn to E4. And I can see that image in my mind. He might say pawn to E5. Now, for some of us, this might not make any sense. But the point of what I'm trying to make is it's imagery. This is the way the original man, one of the ways that he um, recorded his wisdom. When you look at the Mayans, the Aztec, the Incas, the Dogons, the ancient Kemetics, uh, we recorded our image in pictures. And when you record imagery in pictures, you're dealing with the feminine aspect of the brain. You're dealing with what they call the right side of the brain. So you can teach mathematics from a left side perspective, but then they've recorded the imagery or the wisdom into pictures, which is right brain. And one of the reasons why we don't do as well in schools because Western educational system is based on what's considered to be left brain dominant education. Well, as original people, we're used to using both sides of our brain. We don't just use one side or the other, we use both. So we don't do as well in the educational realm because educational system in Western world has negated the feminine aspect of everything. So when we say a nation can rise no higher than its woman, that means on one level, yes, externally, but on an internal level, we have to look at a nation can rise no higher than its woman. We could apply that same principle to the feminine side of our brain because what? She knows all about you. Isn't that what problem number 13 says?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
teaching in pictures is wonderful. That in the tech, they call them demo kits. A demo kit is an illustration or representation of a concept based on a sketch, a drawing, which is two-dimensional, or a sculpture, which is three-dimensional, right?
Yes.
For those that understand the teaching of what they call the study tech. He said, L. Ron Hubbard says, if you can't sketch or represent the concept in three dimensions, then you don't understand it. That's what they call a demo kit.
Mhm.
Now, in Arabic, that same concept is in the Arabic word mathala, which is the Arabic word for parable. And the word parable in the Holy Qur'an, mathala, means to represent in two dimensions or three dimensions. So the parable of the Holy Quran is the equivalent to the demo kit of the tech. And what both of these are in agreement with is whenever we study it from the perspective of left brain as well as the right brain. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Praise be to
Yes.
Allah. Sister Ruby,
Assalamu alaikum.
Brother Saquam, Walaikum
Yes, sir.
Salam, sir.
How are you? Beautiful dialogue. Thank you for having us on. Yeah, I was just man, just receiving everything that y'all were sharing. And I was, as you were speaking, my mind, as you said, the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. Remembrance of Allah, to remember Allah, the greatest force that is within us. And when we remember Allah, that which is that greatest force, then we push out all those maybe engrams or things of the nature that's not of us. And
Hmm.
it pushes it away because the force of Allah in us brings us back to who we really are. And also wanted to say I was looking up the word supreme, and I was breaking it into syllables as SUP and RE and ME. And sup, the first three letters are SUP, means to sup, or it can also mean super, but he supped with us. And then the RE means like a letter or a script. And then you have the next one, which is ME. So it's like he's supping with us through the letter of the supreme wisdom that he gave to us so we can come back to who we really are. And then you go into the wisdom, which is our wise dome, and putting it
Mm-hmm.
all back together. We have just in the word supreme, not even getting it all the way into the lessons, we have the essence of who we are, which is what's in us, and the script of the letter is in us, and we just have to read ourselves based
Yes.
on what's been given to us and go back into the lessons, which is our foundation. And I do boxing, so when you were saying, or how you relate what you do, the boxing relates to the lessons because I'm using the lessons of the foundation of
Mm-hmm.
the existence, that you must have a strong foundation, you must have balance. And boxing is not so much a physical thing as it appears to be. It's more a mental and a spiritual thing, because that which is what is inside of you, if you think of yourself as not being able to fight or not be able to do a certain thing, then you won't be able to do it because your mind tells your body that you can't do it. So thank you for allowing me
Yes,
to share.
sir. Praise be to Allah. And with that, brother, when you're dealing with boxing, boxing shares a lot of things with martial arts. And there's actually a lot of mathematics involved in boxing when you start getting into angles and stance and defense, right? There's a lot of mathematics involved in that. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Um, okay, let's go ahead and land this plane here. Let's finish up this point and then we will. Okay.
Don't forget the video.
Oh no, I just loaded it to the other thing. So as soon as we finish this, I'm gonna pull it up so we can all watch it. But thank you for the reminder. So the engram, the devil's party, the engram is a bank that contains all the valences and circuits that are placed to keep us aberrated. So that's really the devil's party, in other words. It's a group, it's a group of devils that are together for one common cause, right? In other words, it's full of these valences. These are the people in our past that have caused us problems, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's the devil's party. Okay. So then I was looking at, okay, the content of the engram could represent an internal 10%. Who are the 10%? They're the rich, right? Slave makers of the poor. Well, isn't that what the reactive mind does?
Mm-hmm.
Who teach the poor lies that all wise, true, and living God is a spook and cannot be seen with the physical eye?
Yes, sir.
Aren't they the bloodsuckers of the poor?
Absolutely.
Isn't that what the reactive mind does to our attention units?
Yes, it does.
All right. So the word party means to befall someone, to happen to someone, to belong to a group, or to meet with a mishap. Now, what does that have to do with the tech? L. Ron Hubbard says the accident-prone person is a case where the reactive mind commands accidents. So we don't just have accidents on by mistake. In the tech, there's a reason why we have accidents. He says he is a serious menace to any society, for his accidents are reactively intentional and they include the destruction of other people who are innocent. It doesn't mean that we are doing things intentionally. It is saying that whenever something happens, it's the reactive mind doing this on purpose.
Um,
The reactive mind is causing us problems. He says drivers with several accidents on their records are generally accident prone. They have engrams which command them to have accidents. When you run a case, just one, you will see how thoroughly and maliciously disposed this moronic thing, the reactive mind, can be about such things. He said clear drivers could have accidents only through two sources, either A, mechanical failure, and more important, B, because of accident prone to other people that are accident prone.
cool.
The terrible and awesome death toll taken by our automotive transport is almost all attributable to reactive mind driving rather than learned response driving. The apathy of this society is measured by the fact that it does not act severely to prevent all automotive accidents. Just one broken windshield is one too many. Now that an answer is to hand, action can take place. I can tell you the last 3 to 5, I'd say last 3 years, I have done more car accidents. Car accidents have increased dramatically. And it's either because people are not paying attention or they're not in present time while they're driving and they're just not aware of everything going on in their environment and they're hitting stuff. And then finally, as a result of all this, who are the losers? What is the meaning of loser with regards to Arabic? So in Arabic, the word loser means to incur loss, to reduce, to grudge, to decline, to be depraved, to be corrupted, to cause harm or injury to others. So when the devil, the reactive mind, gains mastery over the individual, it causes the inability to remember the past or recollect who they really are. If an individual doesn't know their identity, then they will take on the identity of someone else. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
So if we've lost the knowledge of self and we're living a beast life, if we've lost the knowledge of self, then who are we?
Peace.
We are we are we are living according to the personality of the individuals in our reactive mind. Because look at it, if we're not acting as God, then we have to be acting as devil, correct?
Yeah.
There's nothing in between that. There's God and devil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
But now, since we know there's no mystery God, then we know there's no mystery devil either, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right.
If there's no mystery God, then there's no mystery devil. So if we are not acting like the godly people on our time track, then we have to be acting like the ungodly people in our time track, right?
Yes, sir.
And those are called valences, yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. But we have to understand that the behavior that we're manifesting is not who we are and it's not our fault. That's why Minister Farrakhan says, be patient with yourself. Okay. Study guide number 7, get rid of guilt and get rid of fear. Allah knew who he was when he chose us, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When we are other than self, we become depraved, incur loss, and can cause harm to others. Have you ever experienced being frustrated because you can see within yourself something? You can't put your finger on it, but you know it's not you. Have you experienced that?
Sir.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we are not bad people. We're just stuck in the character of someone else. Sister Ruby, Brother Saquon,
Yes, sir.
I see your hand up.
Oh, it's still up. I'm sorry. I had to take it down. Sorry,
Oh,
sir.
no problem, no problem. So now what is a savage? Savage means a person that's lost the knowledge of himself and who's living a beast life, correct?
It is.
How do we say that in the tech? Lost the knowledge of self means to be out valence. So out valence in the tech is equivalent to savage of our teachings. That's the marriage. Living a beast life, that's called dramatization, correct?
Sir.
Okay. And here's the last two things we're going to cover. So valence, to be out of your valence means to be in someone else's valence, that being somebody else. In auditing, a person who is out of valence will not be seeing the scene as he saw it then, but he will seeing himself outside of himself, as if he were viewing the incident from someplace else. A person running engrams may suddenly go out of valence. That's the same as saying they've lost the knowledge of self. When you dramatize, it means to act under the influence of past incidents as dictated by those incidents in the bank. It means to replace something now that happened in the past out of its time and context and out of one's control. That means we are acting other than our own self, correct? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And if the person from our past were acting as a beast and we're acting as they're acting and speaking as they're speaking, then wouldn't that mean that we are living a beast life in present time?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So our beast life and present time is just us being in the character of someone else from our past. That's what aberration is. We are other than our own self. A person dramatizing an engram is duplicating its content, entire or in part, in his present time environment. The degree of dramatization is in direct ratio to the degree of the restimulation of the engram causing it. So the more the engram is restimulated, the crazier we're going to act. Has anyone
Whoa.
ever got to a point where they just snapped and just went off on somebody?
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole lot of things going on in that environment, a whole lot of perceptics that uh, keyed in that behavior, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now here's the thing where the tech is so important. Certain events are going to take place that are going to push our buttons. And if we go through the tech and we learn how to get rid of those buttons, then as the environment around us becomes more restimulative and more crazy, those who follow the instructions of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in getting this tech will not be restimulated by these events versus individuals that have not gotten the tech and the engram bank is full. When these events take place, these people are going to go off the deep end. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't Allah say that if there was a time he brought you to the brink of a pit of fire, then he withheld you? You've seen that in
Yeah.
the Holy Quran before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We could take that same principle and apply it to the tech. All of us are going to be brought to the brink of a pit of fire. Now, when you take that word pit of fire, the word fire, when you clear that in Arabic, is going to bring you to the characteristics from 2.0 down to 0.5. In other words, a brink of a pit of fire could also mean the brink of a pit of an emotional breakdown. But Allah will do what? He will stay our hand. Oh, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Turn my alarm. All right, that means it's time. So at its most restimulated, the engram is running off verbatim, and the individual is like an actor, puppet-like, playing his dictated part. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Other types of incidents and pictures can also be dramatized. So summary, in this study, we have started with Dianetic tech, and we worked in reverse. So we are studying the concepts found in the supreme technology, which is Dianetics, and conducting an inverse operation to locate the concepts in the Holy Qur'an and other religious systems. So when I say other religious systems, in the future, we're going to take these concepts from the tech. We're going to show how they're connected to the Holy Quran and the supreme wisdom. But then we're going to see how the same concepts can be found in other religious ideologies. Now we're going to marry everything together so we can see the commonality or the ARC between all of the religions so we can be in sync with what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives us on page 90. He says, before you can say your religion is true and good, you have to study all religions and their scriptures, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we hope to do in the future. Any questions, any thoughts, any comments before we close it out?
Brother Lukman.
Yes, sir.
Brother Lukman.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for Sister Angela.
Okay.
Sister Angela, how do you determine who you will audit, and what are the prerequisites in order to meet with you one-on-one when you are doing an audit? Thank
Um, I don't think I have any requirements. I know at one point we were not doing like sisters couldn't audit brothers, but that's been lifted. So all is required is to make an appointment. And I do them all on I do straight wires over the phone, but I also do processing via Zoom or FaceTime video call. Because I mean, I have people that are in Colorado, Phoenix, Louisiana, all over the United States that get sessions. So it's just make an appointment.
you. Okay, thank you.
Praise
Thank
be to Allah. So now, does anyone else have anything? Going once, going twice.
Can
Okay, go ahead.
I get the sister's email address, please?
I think she's talking about you, Sister Angela.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Actually, I'll just put my phone number in the chat.
Okay.
Shortest line to it. Shortest.
And then I will pull up this video, and that's when we will close it out. Let's see if I can find, I can navigate to it real quick. Facebook here. Okay. Over here. Go here. Okay. What happens if I hit that? Oh, that's good right there. Okay. Okay, so let me pull this up real quick, and this is where we will close it out. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's that.
What's going on over there? Malika, beautiful ears, and a beautiful moon shining bright. Malika, and for more wheels. What have I done? Got two more wheels. Look at that. Malika, everybody. Lazakbar.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Thank you for being here. Praises be to Allah. Look at that other wheels. We love you. Malika. So beautiful. One flying low right there. Some up above here. Assalamu alaikum. I don't know how many wheels there are, but there's a lot of wheels. Praise be to Allah. You. I love you all. Thank you. Beautiful moon. Look at that. I'm bright. I'm alaikum. Thank you. Have a blessed day, everybody. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's the Father Muhammad. Praises be to Allah for our Messiah, our Jesus, and our midst. Thank you so much for him and his family. Allah's Akbar.
oh,
Praise be to Allah. Thank you. Thank you, Wheels. Brothers and sisters, I should say. Some like
Praise be to Allah. All right, family. I pray Allah that we got something from today's session. My goal is, with the help of Allah, to start going actually into the Dianetics book and connecting the book to our teachings instead of going in reverse. And hopefully will inspire the believers to go back and either pick up the book and start it, or pick up the book and complete it. And then as time goes on, we'll get into the other books, God willing. If you have any questions, any thoughts, please send me an email, or you can always send me a text. I will put my phone number here if you have any questions. That is my number. Send me a text message. If you have any questions, feel free. I'll do everything I can to assist you in the study of the tech. And with that being said and done, thank you for your time and your patience. And I'm going to close us out in prayer. Attention prayer. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of the day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and aid do we seek. Please, Allah, guide us on the straight path, the path upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray if they have heard thy teachings. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Walaikum salam.
Continue to bless us.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.